you got in it, and I thought you were trying to get out of it, and you're like, help! How do I get out? I'm going to let you work out where the door leads.
Hello and welcome to episode 31 of the Evo podcast, and I'm here with James Taylor.
Hello.
Dickie Meaden.
Hello, Yousuf.
And new to the podcast, we have Sam Jenkins, who's our senior staff writer.
Hello.
Welcome.
Welcome to the madhouse.
I was looking on the website, and your job description is the engine room of Evo's digital operation, which sounds quite dramatic.
Did you write that yourself?
I did. I was going to say, I work on the website as well, but
no, do a bit of everything. So that's how it goes.
A lot of social as well.
Yeah, exactly. Writing the website and the magazine, social media, bit of photography, bit of filming the podcast, and
editing the podcast sometimes.
Editing the podcast too.
Yeah. So it's a fitting title.
Exactly. I think so.
So to kick off, what have we been up to? What have you been driving recently, James?
I've been driving a fairly new addition to the Evo Fast Fleet, actually. We've had a Skoda Superb Estate join the fleet, but not any Superb. This is the car that Skoda nicknamed the Sleeper, because from the outside, apart from the suspension being a little bit lower than normal, it looks like a standard green Superb, but it's been tuned by RE Performance to, I think, 477 bhp. And it's been doing a lot of activities for Skoda through the year, but now it's all ours. We've got it for a few months. Aston Parrott, our photographer, has been running it for a while.
Who's the fastest man alive anyway?
Aston is the fastest moving object between 2 points in any given map at any time, I think. So we've given him an even faster car to do it with.
So we can't keep up.
It's pretty much his perfect long-termer, I think. But we're all of us are going to drive it at different points, and I took my turn recently. It's really cool. It's got 6-pot AP racing brakes. It's got coilover suspension, some stickier tyres than normal. So we'll do a proper podcast on it in the future where we'll go into a bit more detail on it. But yeah, it's a cool thing.
Does it drive like a tuner car, or does it feel quite resolved and polished?
It feels very, very kind of OEM. It feels like there's a few things like it idles a little bit quicker than normal and things like that, but all the driving modes still work. It's still really comfy. It doesn't feel like a kind of backyard special. It feels like a proper, well-engineered car.
Cool. I haven't driven it yet, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, no.
Sam, what have you been in recently?
I'm in a Polestar 3 at the moment, which is an interesting car. I did the initial international launch of that car, and
didn't that go a bit wrong? The launch.
Something went on with the cars. Nothing happened to. Actually, something did happen to the car I was in. The ESC was a bit funky on it. It was an early car, so you can't really say too much about that.
But you've driven it now in the UK.
Driven it now in the UK, and it's been okay, except I can't connect my phone to the car at all.
Oh, fine. Okay.
Not let me do anything.
So now a new issue.
I know, huge issue.
And is it a car where it kind of depends on your phone interface?
It does.
A lot of the functions.
Thankfully, it has the Google system. It's an entirely Google-based system, so you do have maps and whatnot without connecting your phone, but. Yeah, literally couldn't even play music with my phone, so absolutely disaster.
I can't live without that. My attention span is
I have to listen to the radio.
I mean,
interesting to drive that.
But you've also been to Italy for something a bit more exciting.
I have, a bit more Evo.
Yeah.
And EV.
And an EV. It was an EV.
Our EV correspondent.
Well, it seems that way. So the Ferrari Electrica.
You have to change that engine room thing if you're EV correspondent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't know what the equivalent
the
is.
Inverter.
Inverter.
Whatever that means, I don't know.
Yeah.
You're permanently agitated or synchronous.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
This was the first stage of the 3-stage launch for this car, for the Ferrari Electrica, which isn't its final name.
It's the first time they've really said anything about it,
it is officially
in any detail.
We've seen the test mules, and the test mules look a bit like a Puro Sangue, a sort of Maserati Levante kind of thing, but we still don't know what the body style is.
Yeah. Did you say they said it will have 4 doors? They've confirmed that.
Yeah, so they did confirm it would have 4 doors. It has 2 rows of seats. They said it's going to be the most usable Ferrari they've done. Supposedly more engaging than a Puro Sangue and a GTC4. So we'll see.
Silence.
They're pretty engaging cars.
Yeah.
I think they do. All their cars are very tech heavy now, aren't they? And I think they do deploy tech probably the best of anyone. The way they just kind of make it all work. So it's genuinely interesting to see what they're planning, but it makes my brain hurt. I don't know how you.
The numbers.
So what did they reveal? They kind of gave you some insight into the hardware, didn't they, and the control systems? And
stuff. So usually on the first stage of a launch like this, you wouldn't get that many details, not that many hard details, but they gave us a power figure, so it's going to have around 1,100 horsepower. They said over 1,000 brake horsepower is a safe figure to say. 2 motors on each axle, so 4 motors in total.
Okay.
So not many cars have 4 motors.
Yeah.
The Rimac Nevera has 4, but not many cars of this kind do. 760 pound-foot of torque, I believe.
Right. Okay.
But it doesn't have 2,000 horsepower.
Yeah.
Like a Lotus Evija or
It's got twice as many doors as them, and it's more usable, and people might buy it.
Possibly.
It does suggest they're focusing on meaningful things rather than top trumps.
That's what it sounds like.
Chasing the numbers.
They're keen to stress that it's not synthesizing anything. I'm not entirely convinced that's the case.
So does that mean you will just hear the electric motor whine as opposed to
so sound-wise, the sound thing is very interesting. So they've said that instead of it synthesizing a noise based on throttle position or speed, like a lot of these EVs do, they're fitting an accelerometer to the rear axle assembly, which will pick up vibrations of that motor or of both motors, and will then turn that into a sound for the driver based on.
So it's how hard it's working, right?
Exactly.
So like an engine changes under load, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So
if you lose traction, you will hear that. Exactly. So
probably just like that.
Yeah. And then bang.
I haven't mentioned this. I'm actually recording some of the sounds.
They didn't give us a sound clip, which was disappointing. It would be cool to hear what they're going for, but that's promising, I think, because it's more authentic than pretty much any other EV that we've heard.
It's interesting though, because we recently drove a Ioniq 5N Hyundai, and I think the simulated engine noise and gear shifts in that really do add a layer to the experience. But I'm wondering if that kind of solution will get dated quite quickly when we look back and think we're just simulating what went before.
It is very, if you're not actually in the moment of driving the car, it's very kind of Atari
contrived
1990s console game sounds, isn't it?
Revving it at a standstill is kind of hilarious.
Gran Turismo 3.
But I think the effect, it's interesting, when we were driving that car, you're just using it as cues, aren't you? And the noise, the detail of the noise fades, and you're just using it as information. So if the Ferrari thing is directly generated from how hard the car's doing, each corner of the car's working and all of that, then it could be really impressive, actually.
Do we know what it'll look like in terms of body style? Is it going to be another SUV or not SUV?
Not SUV. They wouldn't tell us.
Okay.
They did say it'll have a really cab-forward design, more so than the Puro Sangue or any of their other cars, so that will be interesting. They actually had to change the front crash structure to counter for that.
Okay.
So the front suspension tails are designed to be part of the crumple zone now, which is
interesting.
Quite interesting.
So that's a write-off then.
Yeah,
exactly. Very, very expensive. And
in a car park.
Yeah.
Oh
god. So we don't know what it's going to look like. It has been designed in collaboration with Love From.
Oh, okay. The
Johnny Ives.
Company.
Johnny Ives company. So I'm not sure if that's any of the exterior design or just the interior, but
that'd be interesting.
Yeah,
it'll have a notch in the windscreen,
maybe
iPhone style. Yeah.
And another thing they're doing with this car is they're including I forget the term they use, but it will have paddles behind the steering wheel.
Interesting.
The right hand paddle will give you more power as you go through the gears. They didn't call them gears, but they will effectively be gears.
Okay.
And then when you click the left paddle, it will give you an engine braking effect.
Okay. So is it regen or is it?
They didn't specify.
Power?
They didn't tell us a huge amount on that system, but to me, it sounds a lot like the system in the Ioniq 5N. It will effectively be a synthesized gearbox, which we like in that car. So it will be great to see how they integrate that.
Yeah. With a car that fast, sometimes it's useful to kind of get your bearings, to have those kind of punctuation marks of gear shifts for one.
It brings a little bit of emotion as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It must be such a challenge when your product is built around 80 years nearly of tradition and passion and very highly emotional, highly strung cars, and then you've got this thing that potentially could have no gears and just an endless sense of torque. That's quite a about turn, isn't it? So when will they go to the next stage of kind of talking about more details? Have they given you a timeline to?
Ish, yeah. So by Q2 next year, we should have a name. I think we'll see the interior. But yeah, by the end of next year, we'll see the car in full. We'll know everything about it.
Okay.
I'm not sure when we'll drive it, but yeah, by the end of next year, we will have everything on the car. So.
Wow.
Dickie, you've been in Italy as well, driving something a bit more...
Yeah, something more...
close to home.
Something more traditionally Ferrari. So yeah, 296 Speciale, which we've been waiting for quite a while, haven't we?
Mm-hmm.
I think when they announced it was the Speciale, it's kind of a bit of an intake of breath, because that's such... Of all those names, I guess it could have been Challenge Stradale or Scuderia or Pista, and they've chosen Speciale, which is one of our favourite all-time Ferraris.
Unanimous winner of EcoT.
Yeah,
arguably the greatest modern era Ferrari road car, isn't it?
Yeah.
So to attach that name to this, it was funny actually. They did the usual big. They've gone from big, lengthy press conferences to a sort of video presentation in this kind of new suite that they've built at Fiorano, which is very cool. But strangely, the people that are in the video presentation are also sat in the room, so they're going through the kind of technical aspects of the car, and then they come around. You can talk to them afterwards, but it transpired that they didn't actually know it was a Speciale. It had been kept from them until quite a way through the project.
I wonder if that would have changed their approach, maybe.
Which I think it came at a point where they, where it was critical to know that was the case, but it's quite funny that they didn't start knowing it was going to be that. And
on the reveal, I asked one of the marketing guys why they named it the Speciale, and they said it's because customers kept phoning them up and saying, when's the 296 Speciale coming out?
It's the name people come back to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's so revered.
And I think the other names in that kind of lineage of cars, of all those names, the Speciale gives them the most freedom. It's doesn't necessarily suggest it's solely track focused. So I think they've just worked to, obviously it's much more effective on track, but that's not at the expense of how it drives on the road. I think.
So was it road and track that you drove it on?
Yeah. To sort of illustrate the point, often those first drives are just at Fiorano, but they made the point of dividing the day between road and track driving. The weather was a bit of a problem because it absolutely chucked it down. So there were four people from the UK. There was going to be 2 people in the morning on track, and then they would rotate to the road in the afternoon and vice versa, but the track was too wet in the morning, so we all drove on the road, and then we came back and then did the track stuff mercifully on a dry track in the afternoon. But it's a very cool thing actually. All the cars are in that sort of launch colour scheme, so metallic green with a white stripe and white wheels,
It's very bold.
Yeah, and I think it hides some of the beauty of the car. I think when you have a proper look at it, and they had a regular GTB next to it at the evening presentation, and they're really quite different things when you see them parked next to one another. There's loads of aero details, but nothing's really overt, so it hasn't got big kind of XX type wings, but pretty much every bit of the car has changed.
You mean tweaked slightly, the details.
Splitter's different, and there's lots of little flicks, and the way it takes the air up through the nose is much more like the GT3 car. They've got broader sills and an intake just ahead of the rear wheels. They've got that kind of funny boomerang shaped wings that come up the side and then over the top, which the vertical element is more like the 296 Challenge car, but then they've kind of extended it over the back. What else is different? There's a big active gurney flap that comes up at the back between those two to fill the space between the two end plates, and that's now in I think 3 different positions,
rather than just the 2.
So it offers an intermediate position. It's lighter, quite a lot lighter, 60 kilos or something.
It hasn't got loads more power.
It's about, I think they always choose an awkward unit of
CV, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's about 35 horsepower, between 35 and 40 horsepower more.
But I mean, already 800 horsepower in the standard car. You don't need any more.
And there's 30. I think they've got a little bit more power from the hybrid element because they've improved the cooling. I was curious because I'd driven the F80, and I think it's the first chance we've had to drive something. Obviously, the development of those 2 cars is very close, so it's maybe too early to read too much into the trickle down. But I think there's definitely some F80, well, literally some F80 in the car, because it's got the same conrod, same pistons.
Yeah.
I think they've saved 9 of that 60 kilos. 9 kilos has just come out of the engine.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
They've
So
trimmed down
impressive.
the block, I think. As
Yeah,
well.
the castings are all kind of optimized, and they've used titanium fixings for everything, and so it's a proper job in that sense. They've used some of the engine management, and the combustion pressures are up, and so that a lot of the things that I read on the F80 are carried across. The tyres developed with Michelin, they're specific to the car, using the same kind of methods and materials that they put into the F80. So there are lots of little bits that are appearing in that car. They've doubled the amount of sound ducting. So
Was that noticeable?
Yeah, it's really it's a much more expressive thing.
Because
So
that GTS we drove recently sounded like a P1, like all the
sounded
turbo
amazing.
noise and
Yes,
everything. Is it more like that
yeah,
now?
yeah, much more like that,
Okay.
but with a slightly different tone. So it's a
Right.
bit more aggressive. What else have they done? Gear shift, upshifts and downshifts. They've kind of tweaked, but
Just give you that kick.
the upshifts have got that kind of F80 real hard, like
Yeah.
it didn't quite have the same gunshot kind of upshift noise, but it's much sharper and more exciting to drive. It doesn't rely on you driving it really quick to notice the difference. You notice the difference as soon as you get in it. It's a bit lower, 5 mil lower, I think, and the roll. I put my nerd glasses on. I think 13% less roll, like
Okay,
maximum
right,
roll.
right.
So it's a much flatter
Yeah.
car.
Because the standard car is quite free to move and roll, and it's quite fluid. Does this feel like it's been moved to a much more extreme level, or has it still got that compliance and?
It's still pretty compliant,
Yeah.
but it's more direct and immediately much more connected. So you sort of sat in, and the interior is really nice. Like it's stripped back, but it's not that kind of empty. It's still
with
got
bathroom sealant.
Yeah,
on
it's
the
still got
joins
some
and everything.
sort of plushness to it. So the seats in the cars we had were bright red fabric, and they're like race seats, but they're quite supportive, but they're easy to get in and out of, and comfortable, and they look really nice. And the door panels are all one-piece carbon, but they're stylish. It's not just your rudimentary race car stuff.
And they've got holes drilled in for the speakers as well, haven't they?
Yeah,
which is quite cool.
It's a special. It's a special thing, but it does. You know, you're in something that's a step up from the basic car, a bit more focused. But the way it drives is not. It's not a head banger.
Okay.
Which is nice. And some of the roads. So we drove up into the hills, which is the usual place we go because it's like 40 minutes from the factory. So it's about as far as you can go if you need to get back for lunchtime for the swap over. And those roads are quite lumpy now and a bit kind of crumbly, and they were wet. But it was still really good fun to drive, and you feel what the car's doing, and the systems are so good now, like to drive it in wet or sport. So, something that's getting on for 900 horsepower.
Yeah, wow.
You can really it's interesting to trust it, and just put your foot down and feel when it's just giving you some more power. Wet is amazing because you could literally put your granny in it, and it's just very controlled, but never kind of shuts the whole car down. And sport just gave you a bit of freedom. It's a bit of a handful if you go any further than that, but it's a lovely thing. Yeah, really, it's such a shame we couldn't drive it on the road in the dry.
Yeah.
But the track driving, I think it's too...
Was that in the wet? On
No,
the track,
that was
or?
dry.
Okay.
There was ever so slightly damp when we started, but it was fully dry by the time we had our sort of second. Because you get so little time actually because we were trying to do a video as well and stills.
Yeah.
And I know the world's smallest violin playing, isn't it? But yeah, I think it's 2 runs of 4 laps or 5 laps or something, which is not long to get your head around a car that's that quick.
Yeah.
And it was 1-to-1, so there was one of the development guys in another car, which is quite good fun, and they're genuinely not there to slow you down.
Yeah, they don't hang around,
They
do
just
they?
gauge the gap. So that was quite good fun. The second
Yeah.
second session, we were getting a bit sort of demon happy because it was all good by the end of the day. But yeah, I think they said it was 2 seconds a lap quicker around Fiorano than a regular GTB, which is quick. But it just feels you can really hustle it. It doesn't, but it's not like a. It's definitely not like a 911 RS, but it's possibly GT3-ish, maybe. So it doesn't go quite to the extremes that the RS would, but it's definitely a.
Does it just need more managing than an RS? Because I guess it's got so much power and.
Yeah, you're like an RS. You never have to really worry about.
Yeah, just attacking
the back
all the
end
time.
of the car doing anything, and yeah, you're much more mindful of the. There's always more grunt than grip.
Yeah, it's a bit like an old racing car kind of.
Yeah,
style.
so you drive. You're properly driving it if you're in one of the more brave modes. CT off or SC off is quite a challenge, but it's a good one. Like the car works with you, and it's rewarding rather than just get back and glad I haven't
hand the keys back.
Glad I haven't crashed it kind of thing. Yeah. So I think it'll work on. I know UK roads are increasingly awful, but yeah, I think it'll be a really really nice thing to drive. And we drove. Had 2 specs of car, so the road car was on the semi-active dampers, and the track car was on the passive dampers, which they don't claim any difference in lap time. I think. It's a bit like the the SF90XX. When Rafa did his lap time, it was on the passive dampers, because it saves a little bit of weight, and he preferred the feel, but they don't claim any advantage in lap time. But it's interesting that they offer those two options.
So still got the bumpy road mode.
Yeah, still got bumpy road, which is great. I like the simplicity of the modes.
It works really well.
You just have those modes and the bumpy road button, don't you? You're not right. I'm in sport, but now I'm going to fiddle around with this and that.
Yeah.
And
the DNA of the car is the same across all the modes, isn't it? You're just unlocking a bit more.
And I think they're just able to. I think they're so. And why I think the electric car will be interesting is they're so dialed into what they want in terms of feel. So interestingly, part of the presentation they didn't say the thrill of driving, because my ears picked up, because they've got these five kind of benchmarks of driving thrill. So it's longitudinal and lateral feel, braking, gear shift and sound, and they're trying to measure rather than just the empirical kind of numbers. They're trying to put other measures of these different attributes in the car, and I think that's part and parcel of the electric project.
Doing the same thing,
because they need to quantify what it is that brings the feel of the cars, conventional cars that we love. What is it about gear shift? What is it about the way the lateral load builds, or how the brakes feel?
So not just adding more of everything.
No, then they're trying to paint that into this car. I think because they can be so precise with they've got a motor on each wheel. If you think what they're able to do with what they have currently, like with F80 and the front axle stuff and torque vectoring diffs and things, I think if you can suddenly have so much more fine control. But they're really, they're I think they have amongst the best understanding of what make their cars, and then where they can amplify bits or of their behaviour and character. So no, it's a very cool car.
Yeah, because on paper, I mean, you look at the specs and you think it's almost like a purist F80 in a way. That's a big oversimplification, but without the four-wheel drive, a bit smaller, a bit lighter. Does it feel like there's a link to the F80? Does it feel more manageable?
I think there is. I think the engine component, lighter engine components, and the way they're managing the engine, although it doesn't have the big things it doesn't have are the things that just elevate the F80 to another level. So it doesn't have e-turbos, it doesn't have any hybrid drive to the front end, and it obviously doesn't have the same level of aero. So I've probably got half. I think it's 430 kilos at 155 or something.
Yeah.
So it's significant, but it's not a downforce monster. It
Mhm.
doesn't kind of change the way the car behaves
Yeah.
at all. But yeah, I think there's little glimpses of, if you haven't driven an F80, which I know most people haven't, you would just notice that the car is a bit sharper and quite a bit sharper and more responsive and more characterful and more capable, and it's just its bandwidth has grown and elevated as well. But I think if you have been in an F80, you can feel where that's come from. But it's a bit of a stretch to say it's an F80 junior, but but it's nice to sense all the things they learned in the process of F80. They're already
filtering down,
being applied to their next models.
Does it feel like a Speciale? That's the thing for me, because
I think you'd need a dry road, and the roads that we were on are very kind of mountainy and hairpinny, so they're fun, but they're a bit one-dimensional. And then the roads away from there to the factory are just, they're too busy, and you can't really attack them. So I think you'd need to drive it on dry roads. We would need to drive them on dry UK roads, I think, to
properly
know.
dig into it.
I think the character of the car is so different. You've got this amazing high revving, naturally aspirated, light, much more simple car, haven't you, in the 458? And then you've got this thing which is turbocharged, fewer cylinders, lots of hybrid. It's a totally different recipe, really. But I think perhaps relative to like the difference between a regular 458 and the Speciale, maybe relative to the regular 296, the difference would be similar, but I think they're on a bit of a hiding to nothing, aren't they? It's like apples and, what does Andreas Preuninger always say? It's like apples and oranges, isn't it? Rather than apples and apples that you're trying to compare, I think, with those two cars. But it certainly does as much as it can to honour that name. They haven't just slapped it on,
and turned up the wick.
They've overthought it, if anything, by the way they kept the name a bit secret from the team. They haven't just slapped it on there and thought no one will notice whether they've tried hard or not. I think they've really done, top sort of splitter to diffuser, everything has been tweaked or changed. So no, it's a very cool thing.
Sam, you lived with a GTS, wasn't it, recently? How'd you get on with that?
It's in my top 3 cars. Because
you jumped out and you were like, Yousuf, this is amazing. You need to try it.
It's good. It's just a stunning thing. The integration of the hybrid system is just, it's like magic. It really doesn't feel like it's electrified. And the engine is just, the sound of that car, I still can't get over the sound of that car. It just felt like you were in a 499p or something. But it was a convertible with Apple CarPlay, and it was comfortable and usable every day if you wanted it to do that.
I think, Speciale is still, it has the comfort levels, it has all the equipment
and
usability. It's weird, isn't it? Customers don't seem to have warmed to the car.
It's odd.
If you look at used values, and I don't know whether it's just they're wary of the tech and whatever liability they might think there is in the hybrid system, but Speciale's still got the 7-year warranty and all the kind of stuff you'd expect to be on a Hyundai, not a Ferrari.
So, I think there's a lot about having a V6 as well that might put people off until you drive it, because it is a really characterful
I hope
engine.
the F80 will. I know people will always hate on a car if they want to, and it's probably the people that will never drive any of them anyway, but it makes more sense to me now. I think there was too big a jump between Formula One. It's got a V6, but there's nothing really relatable in Formula One to a street car. I think the Le Mans car is a big step closer, isn't it, to that? And the fact that they've won 3 Le Mans has to count for
it's quite good
something. But I think now they've got the F80 there, and I think once a few of those get into circulation and people drive them, hopefully that'll make everyone feel a bit more comfortable about it. Because I genuinely don't think you're missing out on anything. Certainly in this series of car. Because V8 was a nice engine, but it's V8, V6. I'd rather have this V6 than the turbo V8. V6 is a much more.
There's more going on with it.
SF90 hasn't performed that well on the used market either.
That's true actually. It's funny because when I went to the reveal of the Speciale, there were a lot of questions about the V6 and kind of asking the marketing guys, do you think it's feasible to sell a 400 grand car with 6 cylinders? And it got to the point where they were just like, just drive it and then you'll know kind of thing. And I think that does bear true when you drive a 296 or something like that. James, you've driven 488 Pista, I think. That's your...
Yes, yeah, I did the launch of the Pista.
And that's one of your favourite road cars, I remember
Yeah,
you saying.
I mean, I think a lot of the favourite car thing is often very dependent on the drivers you've had in it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if I'd had the same drivers, the old Speciale, the 458, maybe I'd put that higher. But yeah, really lucky to drive the Pista 3 or 4 different times in different countries, different scenarios, and some of the best drivers I've ever had were in that car.
Yeah.
And similar to how you've described working through the modes in the Manatino on the new clever hybrid car, it's just as intuitive on the old IC car. And
it's just a one and done thing, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, right, okay, you tend to settle in sport generally, and then you might go to CT off if you're in the mood.
Yeah.
And wet's brilliant if it's horrible conditions, but you're not
yeah.
forever thinking, oh, am I in
Yeah,
the right
constantly flicking
mode? And the
between
bumpy
them.
road thing is genius, because that's the only thing you ever really want to fiddle with.
Interestingly, that's the one thing the EV will not have.
Well, bumpy road.
Yeah, they've got rid of the bumpy road mode.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
Has it got active suspension? Like
it's still
Purosangue,
the
same
48
kind
volt
of,
system.
Yeah.
It's their 3rd generation, so it is.
Is it just that advanced that it can kind of sense how you're driving and
guess it
adapt to
doesn't
that?
need
Or
it.
Yeah, I think that's the idea.
Interesting.
But it will not have a dedicated bumpy road mode.
And presumably 4-wheel torque vectoring if it's a motor.
Oh, yeah. And it's got
it'll
rear
be
wheel steer.
Really, really clever with the way it...
Yeah.
Right, shall we have a break?
Yeah, well,
now?
we
Yeah.
try and
Haven't got John
process
with
all
his
the
biscuits.
technology.
No biscuits.
He's here in spirit.
We'll open the Evo Office biscuit tin in the break.
Yeah,
and see what we find.
Sounds good. Right, we'll be back in a bit. Okay, guys, welcome back. And the topic for the second half is a test that Dickie and I were part of with some 6-cylinder sports cars from a few decades ago. That was fun. What did we have, Dickie, car-wise?
We had 981 Cayman GT4. We had a Z4M Coupe. We had a TBR T350C and Evora Sport 410. So quite a mix.
It was a great bunch, yeah.
Lineup.
All of them 6-cylinder.
Yeah, all 6 cylinders, all quite quirky in their own way.
Yeah.
But I'm still smiling, like looking at the
It was so
looking
good.
at the photos. It's just one of those tests that kind of came together, and then we got them all there, and we're like, oh my god, these are such brilliant cars, because they all sounded great, they all looked great, they all drove in completely different ways, characteristics, and they're all. It's really nice to do a test where they're all vaguely affordable as well.
Yeah. Because that's the thing. I mean, most of the magazine these days, it's hard to kind of reach down into the hot hatches and the sports cars because there aren't many left. But when you look at, you can get a GT4 for 55 grand
what they're
these
down to
days.
now?
Yeah, they are.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty low.
And Z4s are about 20, I think.
Yeah,
for like a really nice
25.
Yeah, yeah.
TVR was sort of 30s, I think.
Yeah.
So they're all for the price of a fairly average new hot hatch or something
It'll
approximately.
be like an entry-level hatch now.
The ones that are
like
left.
Yeah, no, they were very cool cars, and again, a bit like the Era's test, all 4 cars were brought along by their owners, which was great, because you sort of get to meet the people who live with these cars, so they were quite curious about their own stuff.
I think the TVR owner had just bought his car like a couple of...
thank you to Colin. He'd literally bought it like the week before.
And came straight to an Evo group test.
Yeah, because
Great way to start.
Initiation.
He bought it from a guy called James Agger, who's a TVR specialist up in Leicestershire.
Okay.
And he said, I think this guy's going to buy this car, so I'll put you in touch. But yeah, it was great. They were so generous with the cars, and they enjoyed us enjoying those cars. For me, I'd driven all of them previously, sort of when they were new, but quite a long time ago. Yousuf, I don't know that if you'd driven any of them.
I hadn't driven any. I've driven a 718 GT4, but not the 981 that we had. Never driven the Z4. This was my second TBR that I've driven.
Well, cool, yeah, because you drove the Griffith.
The Griffith, on the Era's test. And I think when I drove that Griffith, I was like, okay, the TBR reputation, I kind of get it. They're a bit sketchy if you don't respect them, and they're quite brutish cars. But then you jump in this and you think, okay, I really understand it now, because it's quite scary when you drive it quickly. Okay. It's almost like the engine dominates everything, but then the chassis, you always sense, is trying to keep up in a way.
Yeah.
And you've got to drive to its limitations, but it's still loads of character.
It's like in a good way, it's like a resto modded classic car, I think. So they're very like old Astons and things in the way they sound and gear shift and stuff. But I was just stood there looking at I think T350 is one of the prettiest cars they did, and it was towards the end of the kind of golden age of TVR. But I looked at it and thought, it's such a bold car, isn't it? From what was a small, independent, privately funded company. They built their own engine. They styled it. The interior is amazing.
There's no
It's like a
switchgear borrowed from other people, is there? There's no part spin stuff.
No,
is there?
it works. Like all the
bespoke.
instruments were their own, the switches were their own.
Yeah.
And I was sat there thinking, this is like such a special car.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit shonky in certain areas, and you can see
sports car, isn't it?
bits of glue, couldn't you, where the leather around the roll cage and stuff.
Yeah.
But they're more than 20 years old now.
Yeah.
That car, and it still drove. I think it drove as well as. Well, you're going to think, but it drove as well as they ever did.
Right, okay.
And I think those roads up on the North York Moors are particularly tricky. They kind of trip up quite a lot of.
They paint cars in a bad light sometimes.
Can do.
It played to all the TVR's weaknesses, really, because there's lots of sharp vertical inputs and compressions, and that's where it struggles.
And it's very fast, light steering, isn't it? So on faster corners, you're not really sure where you are with it.
Just reading the story, it sounds like the steering's very fast in the TVR as well, like particularly.
Yeah, you have to be calm with it, but it's always hardest to be calm with a car where it's very quick steering. And you never quite initially. You're kind of thinking the rear isn't going to stay with the front, but it just sort of, once you've loaded the car up, it just starts to work really well. And I love the engine and gearbox was so nice.
Does it rev quite high, the engine?
Yeah, I can't remember what it revs to. What does it rev to? It's not like an absolute screamer, but
it's really flexible and linear, and it sounds amazing.
It's got like serrated tones.
Yeah, big range of tone and volume depending on how hard it's revving and how heavily you've loaded the car. It's really, really mega little car.
Yeah, I remember I jumped in it for the first time, and Dickie gets on the radio. He's like, "Right, Yousuf, it's got really fast steering, no ABS, no traction control. Good luck."
He gave you a driver's briefing.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you got in it, and you were trying to get out of it, and you're like, "Help! How do I get out?" I'm going to let you work out where the door releases.
And you were like, "Where do you think a door handle wouldn't be?" And I was like looking on the ceiling,
under the seat.
It's just a little button, isn't it?
But it's on the dash, and it looks like it's for aircon or something.
None of the fine TVR tradition, nothing's
door
labelled.
buttons under the mirrors.
Yeah, well, I think you got the window down because you were trying to let yourself out by pressing the button on the outside. So that was your initiation.
Yeah,
it was in that special flip paint as well.
Spectraflare.
Yeah,
it was very, very noughties. That I think whenever you saw a TVR, it was always this weird kind of hologram on wheels, wasn't it? But the sun came out at the perfect time with that car, because we were all like,
what great
like all these rainbows kind of going across the paint.
I don't know what colour to call it. Is it white, silver, purple?
Silver.
Yeah.
Must be a nightmare to match if you need any.
I imagine.
Full
paint.
respray.
Probably can't do it.
But it was funny how you part the Z4 and the T350, and they are the same car, aren't they?
Yeah.
Very similar shapes.
Same shape, same sort of feel inside. Like and the BMW is sort of, there's some slight odd switch positioning, and it's more kind of haphazard than the TVR somehow. But it's got like more of an OE look and feel.
Yeah.
Was it based on a 3 Series platform? That car was like a hot rodded.
They struggled to fit it's got a different 6-speed box in it, hasn't it? It wasn't the 6-speed box from the E46, but it sort of suffers from all the same issues as the TVR almost, doesn't it? It's got that same kind of slightly choppy.
It's quite excitable, and I really enjoyed it actually. The more I drove it, I got in and I was like, this feels quite nice. This one had a I think it was an aftermarket induction kit and a tweaked exhaust
A
as
lot
well.
of them have those induction kits.
Yeah. It's kind of the go-to, isn't it, for that engine? But it sounded great. I quite liked the gear shift, and it felt quite connected. But then, like you were saying, as you drive it quicker, it starts pogoing a bit, and you're not really sure what the rear end is doing.
They were always a bit. You never felt the front end had any bite,
Right.
and I think you sort of feel you're pushing the front end a little bit,
Yeah.
which is sort of loading the rear at the same time. But because it's pushing, you want to lift, but you don't want to
Yeah,
lift
but then
because
it-
So you're trying to kind of keep it within this
Yeah.
slightly woolly zone.
Yeah.
But the engine is just so good. It's got
It sound great.
it's a cliche, isn't it? But there are bits of like McLaren F1 kind of,
Like
in
the
the
sort of
character
intake
and
sound.
noise.
And the tone of it.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
and they're for nothing really. I still can't get over
what's
how
the going rate for one of them now?
20
They can be-
ish,
yeah.
20, 25.
They're quite unloved. The market doesn't seem to like them. People,
Yeah.
But they don't seem to suffer with the issues that E46 M3.
No,
Yeah, like the
yeah.
corrosion and
the
everything.
boot
They don't
floor
really
stuff
suffer
and the
that.
I think
Vanos
they're
is
really cool
better.
things.
Yeah.
So no, I loved that car, but I wasn't sure. It's long enough ago. I knew I'd love they're reminders of all the things we've lost. So
Yeah.
all of those amazing engines, like the sound they make and just the difference in character. But I also knew that some of them were quite flawed, and I didn't know whether those flaws would now be more magnified
Yeah.
and therefore sort of you'd have to take your rose tinted glasses off. But actually, I think they're mega cars.
Yeah.
I mean, the Porsche was pretty clear, like
Yeah.
straight away, that it's the most
Yeah.
rounded, most
Yeah.
capable.
We stopped in the
car.
middle and we were like, there are no winners in this test. And it went quiet.
Apart
We're like,
from-
Yeah, apart from the Porsche.
I think that's the one that
Yeah.
ticks
No, that's unsurprising to hear that.
most boxes. But that was interesting because Richard, the guy that owns it, tracks it
Oh,
quite
cool.
seriously. So he'd been to centre gravity and had, lowered by just a couple of mil. I think it's 4 mil and 6 mil, or it's really
Yeah,
precise adjustments to the car. But I'd only ever driven a car that's come from the press office, so it's completely standard settings. And it was interesting how responsive that car has been to those changes. So the steering had a little bit of.
It's a bit more lively, isn't it?
It was
Your
just
hands
little,
and-
it was just doing stuff in a straight line. So you were initially, it seemed like it was a bit distracted, but actually it's just a little bit more like a 911. Or
Yeah,
something,
it adds something,
actually.
I thought, yeah.
And I didn't. The gearing didn't really bug me as much as it. I think we got a bee in our bonnets about second and third gears too tall, and they are really tall. But the engine's quite torquey, and it sounds really nice. So it's
Yeah.
not like you have to wring its neck to make it go quick. I think
Yeah.
it's a mega car.
Yeah. You could see it from, watching you doing the cornering shots in the Z4 and then in the GT4. The Z4 was kind of He-Man, chuck it in and manhandle
it was a bit like, I'm not sure
Don't really
about
want-
this. Cayman was
yeah,
just
came round so neat and
Yeah.
precise and controlled.
does everything, every input generates the desired output
Yeah.
somehow. It's you can just that place the car, and then Z4's a bit kind of, you have to bully it a bit, and then it's fighting you a bit, and
Yeah.
which is fun. But yeah, they're that's why the characters of the cars are so different. And then the Evora I hadn't driven for a long time, and I think my memories of those cars was more rooted in the standard,
The original, like
Yeah.
pre-update one.
sort of naturally aspirated engine. And it was a big step from what they'd built before, but you get in them now and they look quite old-fashioned, don't they? It's
Especially
a
the interior.
bit
with
homespun. It's
the-
like a
Yes.
sort of
The Alpine
slightly
head
Blue
unit
Peter made out of cereal box kind of binnacles and stuff.
And they've covered it in Alcantara and carbon, but essentially it does feel
To
like an
disguise
old...
it.
Yeah. So that kind of highlighted to me the level that TVR were operating at in terms of their design and their sort of boldness in terms of
Yeah.
the cars they're
It's not
creating.
easy to do.
But then Lotus reminded me the level that they're operating at
From
dynamically
a
compared
chassis
to
point of view, yeah.
TVR, because it's such a precise,
Yeah.
and it's quite humble origins with the engine and gearbox,
Yeah, was it a Camry engine?
Yeah,
originally?
but
US
they've-
market Camry.
and the gear shift is slightly
A bit clunky, isn't it?
snaggy.
Rush it, yeah.
It's a cable shift. isn't
yeah,
it?
but
Yeah.
but it does all come together, and it sounds ridiculous. It sounds like you're in some sort of full-on race car when it's in race
It has a
mode.
noisy exhaust button, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
Yes.
And when you put it in sport, it goes the other way around to quieten it down.
I think there's
Track
sport
days,
and
I
race,
think.
and you've got the option of quietening it down, but having
Yeah.
it in a
They are
aggressive
so loud.
mode.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's proper howling exhaust note.
Yeah.
The owner brought the car down from Perthshire,
Oh,
I think.
wow.
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
you drive it all the way?
So yeah, it's 300-mile drive, and I think he literally did 5 miles of motorway. Everything else was
Fair play.
So it's like
That's how you
I
drive.
I was
think
wearing
we
a hat,
found
I'd
the
take
right.
it off.
It's being used
Yeah.
properly.
Yeah, we've Andy owned that car. Yeah, we found the right person
Absolutely, yeah.
there. But everyone was fascinated with each other's cars, so I'm sure
That's great.
those guys are all still in touch,
Yeah.
Yeah.
probably. But yeah, I think we're told people don't want to buy these cars, and maybe that's true. I don't know, but you only
just
have to
think
gauge. We were all stood there looking at all those cars, thinking these are so stimulating,
Yeah,
like exciting, cool, attainable. Like they were
They are.
attainable cars when they were new.
Yeah.
You think, well, why do people really not want to buy these cars
Yeah,
anymore? I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know whether it's just a story that's put out by the manufacturers to excuse them not developing them. But yeah, it's nice to. It's unusual for us to do these big tests and put it front and center on the cover. But I think the era's stuff it's given us a taste for it, and I think it's I don't know. You can readers, you tell us, but I think that's where everyone's heart sits, isn't it? With cars like this that aren't necessarily easy to drive, and they're not, 20,000 mile service intervals, and you need a specialist to look after them, but they're quite unlike anything you can.
Yeah, and they
buy
have,
now,
they
I
have
think.
character that's not
Yeah.
around so much.
Did any of them surprise you, having driven them when they were new and now 20
Um,
years later?
I think the TVR's kind of whole car. I don't know, the way the exterior matches the interior and vice versa, and the engine character, and they got so much right.
Yeah.
When you think how limited they're, brilliant people, but not many of them, and limited resources to produce the cars. But the ambition there and what they managed to deliver, I think, is really, really laudable. I've been tempted by Z4Ms for a long time because they just seem like they're sat at the wrong price.
Yeah.
To
super
me,
cheap.
for that engine
And
alone,
the rarity and the
look of
styling.
them. I
Yeah,
think
it's
they
really cool.
look. That car had CSL rims as well, which they should have had. They all look totally different on those wheels, but
The rear 3/4 of that is just
yeah,
stunning,
I think
isn't
it's
it?
I
a
always like the
it's a
coupe
hugely
shape.
hugely
It's quite a
desirable
flat
car.
rear, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think there's a little bit of me that thinks actually I think you could make it better,
Yeah.
like
Tweaks.
address some of the shortcomings with some
Yeah.
decent dampers maybe, or just some setup work. I think would help. The brakes are typically
BMW.
chocolatey BMW brakes of the year, so they're a bit grumbly, but again you could do that, and I think if you bought one for 20 grand you could spend 10 grand on it, and it's
that'd be a stunning car, wouldn't it?
but yeah, the Lotus is quite niche. I think it always was quite niche, and it's a very particular car.
And that era was when they were starting to get a bit more hardcore and a bit lighter, and they were getting more focused towards sort of track and fast road driving more than they were.
Yeah, I think the regular one was a little bit like launch spec cars, a little bit straight laced.
Yeah.
Maybe they were trying to do a proper car, weren't they? Which
Yeah.
it was, but it still wasn't. It wasn't as complete as
Didn't it win Car of the Year when it came out?
it did.
Standard
Was it?
one.
Did it co-win or did it win outright?
No, I won the Exige Co one with Pagani,
Pagani,
but the
yeah.
Benevora one
Yeah.
outright.
Yeah.
That seems right.
Because Andy, the owner of this 410, he was saying that he had a standard car before.
He sort of misses that, doesn't he?
Yeah,
I
he
think?
misses
Okay.
like the suppleness and the.
Was it a post sort of facelift one? Was it, or was it one?
No, it was
don't
I
remember.
think it was an early car
Yeah,
that he
okay.
bought, like pretty much
Yeah.
from when they were launched.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he
Yeah.
got such a brilliant deal on the car
Fair enough.
he's got now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that kind of tempted him into swapping. But he said there's a lot of the original car he
Yeah.
misses.
It's
Yeah.
almost like Alpine A110, isn't it? The base car
Versus
is
an
so.
R or something.
Yeah, it's so defined in how it drives, and it's not chasing lap time or ultimate grip. They're really fluid. And then when you make that stiffer and more extreme, sometimes it takes away the essential appeal of it. So maybe that's the case with the Evora.
Yeah, I think at the time Lotus were trying to win group tests against Porsche GT models and stuff. And I think they got driven in that particular way, I think. And maybe it travelled a bit away from the more fluid side of things. But it's still a pretty awesome thing, isn't it? I remember driving that when it was new for another magazine and being, really, really enjoying it.
It's pretty exotic, like in that group.
Yeah.
It's obviously there were 2 mid-engine cars, 2 front-engine cars, but it somehow looks a bit more exotic than the Porsche, maybe because it's less familiar and more unusual.
Yeah. Sam, what have you driven out of this group or none at all?
I haven't driven any of these cars.
Okay.
So if they were all there, which one would you go to first and why?
Probably the GT4.
Yeah.
I would say. I've spent
Wise
time
choice.
in these. Yeah.
Is that because you'd
like
be more because you think you'd be more comfortable in that than
possibly,
maybe the TVR?
Possibly. Well, I've spent quite a lot of time in our previous long-term Boxster 4-litre, and that was just...
It's a pretty good thing.
An amazing car.
Yeah.
So, same sort of powertrain in coupe form. I think I'd quite enjoy it. But the Z4, I think, is an awesome thing with that engine. Yeah. And I've been passenger in a Z4M, and I know what the intake's like.
Yeah.
So I think that could be quite an addictive experience. But the TVR, it really is like a concept car.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, were they an expensive car? New? It feels like a car that you
they
couldn't
were
make
like
much money on.
They were like 50 grand ish.
Sounds about right.
I think, which I know, 50 grand 20 years ago was more serious amount.
The stuff
but
around
compared
it,
to
it
everything
wasn't.
else,
And for how bespoke it is and how bespoke it feels.
Yeah.
I was quite surprised at the cabin because I thought you'd get in and it'd all be like a bit flaky and falling apart, but it's all nicely trimmed. Like there's a roll cage behind you that's nicely trimmed in leather and everything, metal switchgear. It's
and
really cool thing.
there was like a squeak, but it was only because the head restraint bit of the seat was rubbing on the on the roll cage.
On the roll cage, yeah.
But you think, well, you could just cut
do
a
something.
bit out of that.
I tried to
it
adjust my
wouldn't- and
seat
then
to stop it, and I was
wouldn't touch.
folded forwards, like.
But
not very comfortable.
everything else, it wasn't squeaky or rattly or which I was surprised at. They were all cars that you're tempted when you look through classifieds, but having driven them all, it's like, well, they're all really, go for it if you're tempted, because I don't think certainly wouldn't be disappointed by any of them.
Yeah.
And there are kind of reminders that there's more. I know we focus on absolute dynamics and trying to go to the nth degree to compare cars, but actually when you're in those on their own, you know the limitations, but you're getting so much from other areas of the car that you do go into an ownership mode when we're doing these tests, because you're sort of forgiving if you fall in love with it, you're forgiving its failings, because you get so much from the engine or the induction noise or the driving environment or the way it looks when you lock it and walk away from it. I think they're a nice reminder of that. And cars just don't look like those anymore, do they?
No, they don't.
It is interesting because, like you're saying, when I drive an owner's car or something older, you go in with such a different mindset. If it's like a new car launch or something, I'm thinking, right, jump in, try and get as much out of it as you can to feel what it does.
Yeah, pick holes in everything.
Yeah, and be really picky. But I think when you get in these, you kind of settle down. You tend to drive a bit slower and focus on the experience side of things. I think that's why all of these shine. I mean, the Porsche's really good when you're driving quickly as well, but particularly the TVR, you're just enjoying the engine, the surroundings, the styling. It all kind of comes together in quite a nice way.
It was a good...
I really enjoyed it. It was awesome.
It was a great test, and it reminded me of good times, actually, when there was always every year or so you could reckon on there being a new TVR to put into a test. They were never not exciting cars to be around. So to be reminded of that was fun, and to see you see you
being
get your
trapped
first
in the TVR.
but your first taste of what they're like. It's cool.
I think that's probably a good point to end, guys.
Time to go and look at the classifieds.
Yes.
Let's do it.
And ask you for a pay rise.
Great. Well, thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll catch you on the next episode.